Hey everybody, welcome to our New Year's practice video. This is kind of like a pre-practice video, special New Year's edition. We know that some people are still traveling this week and some people are still out on vacation, which is awesome. Lucky for you. I'm a little jealous. But other people are right back to work and jumping in, and so wherever you are in that process, we just want to say Happy New Year. We are super excited about 2023 with the South Orange County Church and everything that God is going to do. So there's so many things to come, but we're really excited about that. But we wanted to just take a few minutes and help set our minds for going into the new year spiritually focused and being able to really hear the voice of God as He wants us to move forward.
Amen.
So, this last Friday night we had our special service with,
it was awesome.
It was our potluck dinner, and man,
so
our people can cook.
This
church can cook.
Woo!
It's really, the food is just so good. And so thank you to everybody who came. But we had a great time, and we're just kind of reflecting on, who we are as a church and where we've been and all these kind of things. It was really great to be together. But this coming Sunday, January the 8th, we're going to have a regional service for the entire Orange County region. Everybody's going to be coming down to the building. It'll be awesome. Please come early.
Yes.
Here's the thing. We only have 4 regional services a year, including the one for the marriage retreat. So if you go to the marriage retreat, we only have 3 regional services a year. This is a great time because I know many people are always feeling like, I want to see my friends from the north or from other places. This is the time to do it. But if you get there at 10 minutes after 10, it cuts down on your fellowship time. So come early. And you get a good parking spot, and you're able to walk around, see your friends, and encourage people. And let's make the atmosphere of our church one of excitement and encouragement. And so you can do that. That'll be this coming Sunday, which will really be great. But other than that, we wanted to help us prepare to go into that and go into the new year with some things that we're going to talk about today.
We want to talk about a time of reflection, or otherwise known as the Examen, which is like just a really cool way to spiritual practice. And Jake can talk about that later. But we talked about this on Friday about how there's a couple times where it says that Mary pondered all these things in her heart. And you get this image of her being sort of a contemplative person, trying to take in everything and really think about it, really put it, do less talking, a lot more thinking, which all of us would probably benefit from. But at their New Year's Eve service, we took a time to do a communal examen, looking back at the year that we've had with the South Orange County Church. But today we want to give you some tools where you can do this on a personal level. It's such an important thing to do this first week of the year, to be able to reflect back, because while New Year's resolutions are great and goal setting is great, they can sometimes be premature if we haven't looked back first to get some perspective about what we need to change in the new year. So we're going to give you some tools to be able to do that this week.
Right. Throughout the scriptures, God is very consistent in reminding His people to remember. Remember what has happened, and then look back on the blessings that God has given you, and don't forget, because when we remember what God has brought us through, that helps us to really go into what's coming with intentionality and really trusting Him. In Psalm 90 verse 12, it says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." And this concept of being able to number our days and look at, okay, this is how many I've had, this is what is coming, and how do I want to do the ones that are to come, that I'm not just kind of plowing through things, but I'm really being mindful and thoughtful about that. There's Henry Ford said, the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing. It's good for us to go back and look at these things. Albert Einstein said, learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. And the important thing is not to stop questioning. So that brings us to this idea of the examen. Now, this is like a fancy religious word, so when you say it, you can kind of feel proud of yourself for being so smart and spiritual. Cool. But it's Examen. And it's the examen. And it kind of developed, this guy Ignatius, about 400 years ago. He was as kind of like a lot of missionary movements were starting and people were being sent out to go and take the gospel of different places on ships. The trade routes were opening up, and the Christians were going out and leaving their homes to go take the gospel. he was like, how can we help people stay connected and spiritual while they're on the go like this? And so he was looking at some of the monastic practices that happened. These people would pull away from society and go live in monasteries and become monks, and they would pray like 7 times throughout the day so that they could say, is my heart connected to God, and am I pleasing to God right now? Is there anything in the last 3 hours that I've done that I need to repent of? So this process of inward examination. And so Ignatius was like, how do we take that? And then as people are going out on the go, how do we help people who are moving to, moving like going out, to have a moment of contemplative prayer throughout the day that helps them to recenter and refocus. And so it was this practice of looking back over your day or your week or whatever it was, to remember the victories and the blessings and express gratitude for them, to remember the heartaches, the failures, and the difficulties, so that we can like learn from them moving forward, and then to identify how and where God showed up in our life, how was he working, and what do we think that he is teaching us. And this helps us to be able to really move forward more into the future.
Yes, so it's a really great practice, and it's an incredible practice to do at the beginning of the year.
Right.
But how? That's the question. How do I do this? I can barely even remember what I did last week, right? Okay, so I'm going to give you some tools that have helped me through the years to be able to do this practice. One is you have to jar your memory. You have to jog your memory. I think that's what I meant to say. You have to jog your memory. So you could as simply go back on your phone and look through all the photos on your photo reel. Right. It actually will take you back through probably all of your favorite events, at least throughout the year. Right. That's a way to get yourself going and even thinking, I didn't even remember we did that. That happened several times on Friday night. Another way, actually Facebook does a great job of this. If you're a big Facebooker, which I'm not, but if you are, they will make this Facebook reel for you for the whole year. And it really takes you back through some of your memories. So cool. Another thing is, if you're a journaler, you can go back and sort of just, skim over your journal from the past year. And, you don't have to read every single word, but you can kind of get a gist. And it really is helpful because you look back and you think, oh, I can't even remember. I forgot that I was so worried about this thing.
Right.
You're reading about stuff. You're like, oh man, I was really worried about that. And of course it all worked out. So now you have perspective. Right. This idea that we pull back from our daily life, we see things in the bigger picture, and we can make a lot more sense out of it.
Right.
So you could go back through your journal. But one of the biggest tools that's helped me is I make a graph of the year. And don't get alarmed because it's not that complicated. It's not math. Okay, all you do is you have your journal, right, or a piece of paper, whatever, and I just make a horizontal line across it, and I divide it up into 12 sections, one for each month of the year. And then I make a line going up. Like if I'm reading about January or thinking about January for a little bit, then I will make a line up for anything that was incredible or encouraging, or, some really big moments of joy or victories or things that were on the positive side, right? And I list those things going up. And then maybe if there were heartaches or failures or pains or sorrows or anything that was discouraging, I'll put like lines down below the graph line so that I can remember those as well. And I do that for each one of the months as I go. I don't have to do it all one sitting. It might take some time. But it really helps me to be able to look back at the year and not have, we can go one way or the other. We can look back at a year and be like, oh, that year stunk. I was looking at all the Bitmojis that have, that picture of somebody throwing 2022 in the trash.
Right.
Or you can look back, oh, it's great. Either one of those is not accurate. So being able to, it really kind of helps you to be more accurate in the way that you're seeing things. So those are some tools just to jog your memory. So that's kind of your step one, is refresh your memory. Step two is you want to enter into a time of prayer with God. And this is the most important part. So even if you didn't have time to do the first part, please promise me you're going to do the second part.
Right.
But you enter into this time with God. It's not something that you're doing for yourself, for self-improvement, for, just goals or whatever. This is a time for God to actually be personally speaking to you. And you want to ask God, show me my year through your eyes. Help me to see it the way that you saw it. not the way that I felt it or the way that I saw it, but how did you see it?
Wow.
And help lead my thoughts as I go back and answer these questions, which we're going to give you at the end.
Right.
You know, you can set aside just one chunk of time, like you can say, oh, I'm going to do this on my Sabbath day, or you might want to break it up into segments where you do just a little bit each day as a part of your quiet time. That could be your quiet time for the next week.
Right.
But however you want to do it, it's really whatever's best for you. So that's step 2. And then step 3 is make sure that you set up a time to share your, answers or your thoughts or your graph or whatever it is with your spouse or with a trusted friend. It really is an important thing to be able to share this with someone.
Right.
Maybe not every detail, but a big chunk of it, because I think we learn something just by speaking. And like sometimes when you're trying to explain something to somebody else, you actually learn something clicks for you. It may not even be the way that they're responding. They may not even have to respond or with some big, thing of wisdom.
Right.
But it's just the act of you sharing it. It actually makes the lessons go down deeper into your heart.
Right. So there's a great article that Tracy found on the internet, actually, that was super helpful to be able to see a way to map all of this out. So I'm going to put a link to it in the Weekly Wave, and you'll be able to kind of go through it. And it's got like 6 different sections, ways that you can do it. So I'm actually I'm gonna go through this week and do one of those a day, and just kind of let myself be led through that process. So there's different questions that a daily Examen has, or different things. But I think that this is the best way for us to give it to you, so that you could be able to apply that and find something for you that helps to kind of guide you through these questions, this process.
Please do it. It's so helpful.
Yeah, we definitely want to encourage you to do that. And this will help us really set up to go into the year listening for God's Spirit, and then being intentional about how we're going to move forward. So I think that'll be really great. And the last thing that I just wanted to remind you, we're here, regional service this Sunday. The last Sunday in January will be our normal Salt Sunday, where we don't meet at the building. Right. But also that weekend is the Mothers in Ministry Retreat.
Yes!
And so all of the moms need to sign up and register for this retreat.
You gotta go.
Even if your kids are up and out of the house, even if you're a grandma.
Empty nesters, grandmas, everybody.
Any age mom
everybody
will get a lot out of this weekend. It'll really be important.
You will. I'm begging you to come.
Yeah. And so there's already like 100 people that are registered. People are flying in from all over the country so that they can be here, because it has just proven, over the years to be something that brings a lot of value, not just to the moms, but to their entire families.
Yes.
So there's many husbands who are completely supportive of this. Like, babe, you go to that weekend, because something happens to you while you're there.
Seriously.
It's really good. So husbands and fathers, please help me look ahead at your schedule now and make sure that your wife can be there. And I would really encourage the wives also, just don't stay at home. Get a hotel, because if you come to the building and then you go back home, you're going back home to laundry and the dishes and all the stuff. It's going to be really difficult for you. Take the entire weekend, get a hotel, stay out and away, so that you can really be able to connect with God in a great way for that weekend. So that's it for our pre-practice video. But Happy New Year as we go into 2023. We're super excited, and we love you guys. We'll see you soon.